Okay, welcome to Troy Planning Commission meeting for Wednesday, August 11th. Please call the roll.
Mr. Westmeyer.
Yes.
Mr. McGarry.
Here.
Mayor.
Here.
Mr. Wolke.
Here.
Mr. Cappers.
Here.
Mr. Titterington.
Here.
Mrs. Ehrlich. We have a quorum.
Okay, we have before us our minutes of our meeting of July 28th, 2021. Are there any additions, corrections, or deletions of those minutes?
Mr. President, I saw none, so I will make a motion to approve.
There's a motion to approve. Is there support for that motion?
Second.
Mr. Westmeyer. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. They stand adopted. We have a preliminary plan application. Staff have reported.
Yes, sir. So we received an application for the Liberty Meadows subdivision located east of Hunters Ridge Drive. The land is controlled by Liberty Lot Sales. Recently, council approved a rezoning request on this parcel from city administered county zoning to the city of Troy zoning of R3B, which requires a minimum lot size of 12,000 square feet. So to follow a final plat to create the lots and dedicate the streets and public utilities, in this case, this is a 6-phase development. The proposed subdivision, which consists entirely of single-family homes, encompasses 86.275 acres and includes 179 buildable lots that range from 0.275 acres to 0.674 acres and will be developed in 6 phases. The developer is not proposing to provide any parkland with this subdivision and received a positive recommendation from the park board to pay fees in lieu of instead of providing the required 3% as per the subdivision regs. Staff is recommending that Planning Commission accept the proposed preliminary plan as it is in accordance with the zoning codes, subdivision regs, and other engineering standards.
Any questions of staff?
It could be that the scale on the map that I've got makes it hard to read, but the 2 roads that dead end for right now at the east end of the property, do they run all the way to the property line, or is there a gap there?
It looks like they go all the way to the property line with a hammerhead turnaround per the engineering
Okay.
standards.
So if there is development further on
They'll
there,
connect into that.
okay.
I just want to bring to the Commission's attention the discussion that we had at the Park Board meeting concerning fees in lieu. First of all, the inquiry was the yellow areas that you see on the map, as well as the blue areas, the retention basins. There's going to be a homeowners association, correct me if I'm wrong, Austin, but a homeowners association which will be taking care of those properties. It will not be city required.
That's correct, and it's referenced on the preliminary plat.
And the second thing, it was an esoteric discussion about the park board members, between park board members, about what we're looking for as far as local parks versus fees in lieu. This would have been about a 2.5 acre park, which is equivalent to what we have in Westbrook right now. It's a nice sized park. But are we going towards small pocket parks, or are we going towards fees in lieu? The park board had a discussion. It appears anymore now that parents are driving their kids to larger community parks for exercise and things like that, and as opposed to when I was a kid, the neighborhood parks are not such a big deal anymore. I would appreciate any comments you guys would have concerning those issues, but the park board did unanimously indicate at the time that fees in lieu would be accepted, and there's not that much more demand for neighborhood parks.
Well, I kind of had the same question, but I really haven't formed a hard opinion one way or the other.
Well, I know probably, 12, 15 years ago now is really when we started to shift from neighborhood park concept to fees in lieu of, for a couple of reasons. Number one, it is a lot different now than it was years ago with children's safety and additional supervision and wanting to really avail yourself of all the different amenities you might see in a larger park that you're just not going to see in a pocket park. The fact that even a pocket park, some of the equipment, if you have the minimum amount of equipment, those improvements are not cheap, especially with the federal and state mandated safety features that you've now got to add, which frankly, when we were growing up, you slid down a piping hot slide and you lived to tell about it. And, you know, you might have a little burn mark on the back of your hamstring.
And those slides were 3 stories tall, if I
They
remember.
were, yeah, with no guardrails. So that's why we kind of shifted away from it. I think this is a good plan. We have made, from a staff standpoint, the conscious decision, not only when it comes to payment in lieu of, but also when we look at parkland surplus sales, to deposit that money in the park and recreation capital improvements, so that we have a pot of money that we then can turn around and invest and replace and enhance some of our larger parks as well.
I will also mention that at the discussion at the park board, there was a discussion concerning the fact that there is a park that's available to the public in the Halifax area, which if you were to take a look at your map like this, is down in this area, but it is across Troy-Urbana Road. So the issue concerning safety of the kids to get there was brought up, and they would have to come out one of these stub streets, and there is a sidewalk then across Troy-Urbana, but then they'd have to cross Troy-Urbana to get to it. But there really is a playground area there. So it's,
I guess in terms of pocket parks, I think in terms of, I think the name of it's Waco Park, which is, I walk by it almost every day, and I don't think I've ever seen a kid in that park.
that property is being advertised for sale now.
Oh, it is?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yeah, you want to
There's
buy
actually
it?
2 parcels there, so.
It could be a building site
Yeah,
for
two-
anybody that might be interested, by the
Two
way.
half-acre parcels. I think Tim is working on them right now.
Tim, excuse me, Mr. Davis, are you talking about the Waco Park?
The two developable,
Please talk about the Waco Park.
the 2 half-acre developable lots that are up for sale right now.
Just let you
We
know.
thought maybe you were trying to talk
Hint,
him into
hint.
purchasing the Waco.
I'm always trying to get Frank to buy it.
Frank's looking it up right now. Let's see.
Okay, anybody else? Ms. Rosemary?
I have mixed emotions. There's a part of me as a mom and a grandmother who loves the neighborhood parks, but I see that the more of those we have, those are harder for us to maintain as a city. We have playground equipment now that needs to be replaced, and
The recommendation of our park superintendent was that we accept the fees in lieu, mainly because of that reason. He doesn't want the additional maintenance responsibilities and,
but I would never let my kids cross Troy-Urbana Road by themselves either.
right.
Can I ask Mr. Harlow?
Oh, sure. Mr. Harlow, you mind answering a question or two?
So just, could you tell us about the park that's at Halifax? Is that really available to?
So the park, we have posted the park itself as residents only. The walking trails, we've left public access because they're part of the connectivity, but we're having so much problem with children from coming across the street, destroying everything on the green space. In fact, we've got a problem right now. We can't keep the signs up. They've destroyed $1,000 worth of signs in the last month and a half.
So that park is not open?
So the park is not, and the other part that I want to bring up, and just want to make a comment with the Parks Department, the other thing that's going on right now is I've been ready to put the equipment within the park since last year, and have held off doing that because of the whole COVID thing. So there's that concern with all these parks and the playgrounds and stuff, is the transfer of the COVID thing until this thing gets over with, that we've waited to put the equipment in just because of that. So I also think that's a concern as you start talking about these pocket parks, that how do you deal with that, you know, and I'm not a believer in the COVID thing, but there's a lot of parents that are.
City parks are open?
Yeah, they're open, but you know, who's watching the equipment and that sort of thing. So as we start talking about doing more pocket parks, if that's the way we go, I'd gladly put a park in this subdivision if that's what the Parks Department wanted, you know, or dedicate the land. But that's also a concern, I think, moving forward, is the world that we're living in now, that's an ongoing concern. And we've not put the equipment in yet because of that, because the residents in there basically didn't want to put it in yet.
How will you, going forward, if that is enclosed, how will you keep that a residential park?
Well, it's for the residents of Halifax, and we've got it posted that way. It's no different than the fishing ponds. If somebody comes in and they're courteous, they're probably not gonna get ran off, but if they're over there throwing big boulders in the lake and taking signs out and stuff, we need to be able to post it so we can chase them off. If they're, you know, just like the picnic tables, if they're carving on the picnic tables, we have to be able to have the authority to
And what's happening?
post. Well, we haven't even put them in yet because of the vandalism that we're dealing with right now. So it's a problem. And so we've put up cameras and stuff to try to catch the folks in the act so we can do something with it. But it's a real problem right now with the vandalism that we're receiving. And the residents are getting real upset.
And that information provided is different than what staff provided to the park board as to whether or not that's a public park or not.
Yeah, the park's private.
I don't know that change the park board's recommendation, however.
But we wouldn't have said kids can go across the street and use that.
Right. No, they're gonna get chased off.
For clarification, we didn't say it was a public park, so it's a private park, it was just open. We were not aware of the change that was made by them either, so.
Thank you for clarification, Mr.
Yeah.
Davis.
And that change has all happened in the last 6 months because of the vandalism that we're taking on. We're having a real problem with the ponds, with people throwing big rocks in it and moving everything. I mean, it's a little bit of a problem with the kids that are coming over.
Any other questions of Mr. Harlow? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Any other questions of staff before we consider this matter? Okay. We have before us the preliminary plan. It's up to the planning commission to make a decision concerning the matter. Does the commission want to take any action?
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Second by Mr. Westmeyer. Any further discussion? Please call the roll.
Mr. McGarry,
Yes.
Mayor,
Yes.
Mr. Wolke,
Yes.
Mr. Cappers.
Yes.
Mr. Titterington.
Yes.
Mr. Westmeyer.
Yes.
Approved.
Staff have anything else to come before the commission today?
Just an update on your request for us looking at other communities that have fees. I think we're looking at fees for a certificate of appropriateness. We have our interns looked at a number of communities, come up with 4 that have certificate of appropriateness, but 2 of those 4 have fees. We'd like to get some more, I think, data on that, but most likely that's what we'd be proposing for planning
When you're talking
commission.
about certificate of appropriateness, you're talking about.
Historic district application,
Gotcha.
which is the correct terminology for the
Okay.
application.
You're going to continue on that.
The TDN building issue.
Yes, that's what arose from last meeting. We had, work was performed prior to approval.
Anything else?
No.
That's it. Anything else from the commission? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn then.
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We stand